Hey there, Vikings faithful. You are listening to the Purple People podcast. We're going to talk about the draft and all kinds of Vikings football. I am Kyle West. I got Adam Carlson with me.
You sure do. I'm right here.
You betcha. I got Kyle Smith.
What's up, everybody?
And we are here to talk football. And we have quite a bit to talk about this week, including the draft, the Kentucky Derby, Pacquiao-Mayweather.
Not really.
Some NHL playoffs. Me watching reruns of Elf on the Family Channel.
Alf.
Okay, maybe not so much of that, but mostly football. We're going to talk football.
I kind of want to talk about Alf now.
Alf, Rosie O'Donnell, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I did that, sorry.
I'd like to welcome you guys to episode number 150 of the Purple People podcast. 150, guys.
Holy crap. That's a lot
This
of
one is
episodes.
titled MineDraft. I don't know if you guys have friends that play that Minecraft game. I can't stand it. People love it. But hey, everybody has their stuff they like, so you Minecrafters keep on crafting. I'll just worry about the draft.
I tried it on the PC once, Adam, and when I had to open a Firefox tab on my other monitor to figure out how to craft things because there was no explanation in the game whatsoever, I was like, not for me.
Oh, Minecraft. I bet you Mr. Smith hasn't even touched Minecraft ever.
Actually, you'd be surprised. I have. I liked it, but the games that I get into, I just go in, try to dominate them, and then I get bored with them. Games on my phone, games on systems. I like that.
Anyway, let's get into talking about Vikings football. Enough about Minecraft. The fifth-year option is coming up on some of the Vikings draft picks. And this year, it's all on Matt Khalil and Harrison Smith trying to figure out whether to put the fifth-year option on them. It'll be interesting to see if they use it on Matt Khalil, considering that it's going to be about $11 million hit next year if they do. Harrison Smith, it's approximately $5 million if they do. So right now, I'm currently expecting them to use it on Harrison Smith while they work out a long-term deal. Meanwhile, Matt Khalil will probably play through the season, see how he progresses. And then I expect the Vikings to make a decision on him after that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Is Harrison Smith cheaper because he was a later round pick?
Yes. Anything after the number 10 pick, there's a significant drop-off. And it's also because of the position they play.
Okay. Well, obvious answer is obvious. Of course they pick up Harrison Smith's 5-year option on his contract. He's one of the best defensive players on the team right now. Matt Khalil, I agree with your statement, Adam. See how it goes after this year or whatever, but I could see... Yeah, I think that's what they'll do. They'll wait, see how the season shakes out for him.
I completely agree with both of you. I don't think, even if Harrison has an off year, I think we'd still pick him up. Matt needs to prove himself up and down, but all in all, I think both of them get picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think eventually Khalil will get a deal worked out, but I don't think it'll be with that fifth-year option. But we'll find that out tomorrow. We're recording this on Sunday. By the time this comes out, the decision will already be made, and we hope we're right. We've been wrong in the past, but...
You guys can give us shit on our stuff. Sorry about that. We will censor it and keep it PG. You can give us crap for that on the Facebook page. But Sunday night, I like that. I like the prediction game, though. It's kind of fun to go back and listen after they came out.
It's true. I don't know if you guys watched the Kentucky Derby or had anything to do with that. I didn't watch it, I admit. Horse racing isn't my thing, and plus I believe it was on during the day 3 of the NFL draft, if I remember right. But,
yes.
From what I understand, Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater was on hand, and he had on one of the most fantastic suits I've ever seen. And he was getting his roll on Donovan McNabb style. Donovan McNabb style? No. Dante
Culpepper, Adam. Don't you ever...
He was getting his chunky soup going on? Is that what you were saying?
He wasn't laying down and getting a safety in the end zone. He was getting his roll on.
I had a good comment on Twitter from Brian Espy at My Purple Kool-Aid. He said, that jacket, though, man, somewhere there's a bald chair or sofa.
Oh, come on. That's the point of the Kentucky Derby, though, is you're supposed to just go for it. You got the crazy hats, the big old drinks. Everything's supposed to be larger than life, and Teddy went for it. And I love that he went for that because of how much he gets knocked on for lacking charisma and passion and energy. And he's really, to me, coming into a little bit of his own now that he's realized that, hey, everybody's kind of embracing me a little bit. I can actually be myself. And that's what I'm hoping's going on in his head. And to be honest, that suit is fantastic. I mean, you couldn't wear it anywhere else, but...
Well, maybe. He makes enough money, he probably could wear that every day and not really be bothered by it.
Take a bath in it, whatever.
You know what, though? I love me some Teddy Bridgewater, and I love the fact that he's out there having fun and doing seemingly normal things. Like, you don't get that a lot from these high-profile athletes. Like, it's nice that he's doing that instead of Lord knows what some of these other guys.
Trying to trademark a picture of a bear with Teddy written on it or something?
Yeah. Or in rehab.
Well, you know what else I like? People said a lot with Russell Wilson, great quarterback he is. You know, he says everything's scripted. If you've ever heard him do an interview, I know that Teddy's a really good guy, and he's very, very formal. I will say, I could see him being the yes or no sir type to a lot of people, but I like that switch you can turn on and off to where you can be your own person, and that's what you guys were saying that I like. I agree with. I like that you can come in and, you know, you can be Teddy. You don't have to be like all proper all the time. Like, this is the off season. You've already solidified a spot on the team. Go out and have fun. And if people happen to take a photo, just be yourself. So I think it'd be pretty cool to hang out with. That's what I caught from the photo.
He seems really well coached in behavior and interviews and everything. Mm-hmm. I know that agents and the team and the league all push that kind of stuff at the rookie symposium and all the other events, really. And it's cool to see him actually following through and doing stuff, because when you never saw Christian Ponder, you know, at the Belmont Stakes or Tavares Jackson running with the Olympic torch or something like that.
Christian was too busy hiding Sam for 8 months while they had a kid. Good for you.
I feel like we should give a special shout out to Teddy Bridgewater's mother, Rose, with Mother's Day coming up, because she's awesome. I know
she seems to have raised her boy right.
We all love Rose here at the podcast, and yeah, she's raised a good kid in Teddy.
The Vikings signed a 5-year extension with iHeartMedia. And if you don't understand what that means is that the Vikings games will continue to broadcast on KFan and KTLK radio for the next 5 years. Also, the programs that are created together between iHeartMedia and the Minnesota Vikings will continue. So that's a great, great thing for Vikings football, people that listen to the game on the radios, the people that love the shows that they create together. Just a big thumbs up on that one. I'm glad to see that happen.
I think we got to get on iHeartMedia.
I know. I'm plugging iHeartMedia here. It's good stuff.
We should get on iHeartMedia.
That stuff rocks, man. If you work at, like I used to do, I used to have really boring Sundays at work, and the games would be on, and I couldn't watch them. You can turn it right on and hear Paul Allen give you the play-by-play. It doesn't get much better than that.
No.
I'll take him over the television broadcasts.
Sometimes, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Teddy Bridgewater didn't have the best pro day. We know that, right?
Yeah.
Well, Norv Turner in a recent interview said that he wants, and I'll air quote, someone to shove a broom up their backsides. Now, when he says broom, it's because, have you ever watched the pro days where they'll have guys standing there and they'll raise a broom up to simulate the paws of defensive tackles and stuff to try to bat down passes?
Yeah, it's strange. It was at that point where I'm like, I don't really need to be watching this on television anymore, because this is a farce.
Yeah, it's just so weird. And I'm glad to see Norv Turner embracing Bridgewater that way as well. It's just really cool to see from an offensive coordinator, this team just trying to grow together. And I know that this might not even have much to do with Bridgewater at all. It's just supporting the team. And the fact that Norv Turner doesn't seem to have been pounding the table a ton for offensive players at the NFL draft says a lot for what he believes the squad around him can do. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that as well. Speaking of the draft, someone wasn't traded at the draft. That someone is Vikings running back Adrian Peterson. There was a lot of speculation that would happen. Chris Carter alluded to it a little bit. We had several other experts saying that on day 2, if the Cardinals didn't get a top-tier running back, that they'd be trading for Adrian Peterson. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. Adrian Peterson's a member of the Minnesota Vikings. Even Ben Dogra said that he's very impressed with Rick Spielman and his resolve to try to work things out with the Vikings and Adrian Peterson. And Rick Spielman said in an interview that he's respecting Ben Dogra and that he is one of the best agents in the business.
Yeah.
It sounds like things are really
he
trying
has to say that.
Well, yeah, of
That's
course.
Rick Spielman's
PR.
job to say that. It's PR spin, but
He's not going to say he hates the guy's guts.
he should.
But I think there
think
is that level of respect between the two.
I don't know. It'd be a pretty awesome GM if he came out and be like, Peterson's agent, F that guy.
But it looks like Adrian Peterson will be a member of the Minnesota Vikings for at least the 2015 season. So fans, I hope you're excited to see that, because we've all been kind of wondering what it would look like with Teddy Bridgewater getting a chance to work with Adrian Peterson, and it looks like we're going to get to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting.
Yeah, all that nonsense that happened aside, I think with the defense coming up, Teddy in year 2, and now having AP to hand it off to, other teams should be really scared. It's kind of like the plug the movie Draft Day. I was just talking about that the other day with the guys too. If he said, all I want is 1 year with my team, I think this would be really cool, especially for Teddy's sake, to be able to hand off. Because we've talked about it before. AP is going to come back really pissed off and a fresh set of legs, no injuries. So it'll be good from the football standpoint on the field.
Yeah, hopefully he's motivated and in shape, because I want to see that. The other thing that I wanted to mention about that is the Vikings, they went all 7 rounds of the draft and all through the undrafted free agents, and they did not draft or pick up one single running back.
Which should tell you what they think of Jerick McKinnon.
It does.
Right?
It shows that they meant what they said when they were talking about Adrian Peterson, and it shows their commitment to helping develop Jerick McKinnon, and they also shows that they have belief in their role players behind him.
Yeah, we're also ready.
It's really cool.
We're also ready to drop the axe on Matt Asiata, but the guy is a touchdown machine for the team.
Last year.
Yeah, and you never know. The weird thing could happen where for some reason Adrian just doesn't click in North Turner's offense, and you end up with McKinnon and Asiata getting more production than Adrian Peterson. That sounds really stupid, and I might get hate for that, but that could happen.
Things happen. Injuries happen. You never know when people have to step in. And we saw last year that the combination of Asiata and McKinnon, although it wasn't as explosive as when Adrian Peterson was in there were times that it definitely got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in that short yard situation on the goal line. Just pound it in there. But let's talk about the 2015 draft, because that's what we want to talk about. This is the great stuff. Now, I have to mention this because I have a little bit of an ego and I like to stroke it every now and then. Now, I only wrote 2 articles about one prospect in the 2015 draft. And that article was called Why the Vikings Should Draft Trey Waynes. And when pick 11 rolled around, there was a lot of wondering as to whether the pick would be Trey Waynes or Devontae Parker. And to be honest, I wasn't sure either. I didn't feel that wide receiver was a huge enough need to take at 11. And I was glad to see that they went with Trey Waynes out of Michigan State. Now, I live in Michigan. I get those Michigan and Michigan State games pounded at me on the television on Sundays. Or on Saturdays, sorry. I'm thinking NFL. But on Saturdays, and it's just, I've seen enough of this kid to know that when people say he is a bad tackler, it's just that they're watching the videos of the games where he had an off game. Mm-hmm. And that did happen. He is a willing tackler. He needs help on his technique, sure. But, every prospect in this draft has something they need to work on. There's no flawless, can't miss players in the draft. Even Andrew Luck, when he came out, there was a chance that he could fail.
That was going to be one of my rants for later on, but I'm just going to do it right now, is that every player is a project player. And I agree
True.
with that, Adam, is that they are all, it doesn't matter you first pick, you be the last pick. They're projects because they're coming out of college into a new system. So yeah, Trey Waynes is a project, the same as everyone else is a project. So
Absolutely.
I don't get as caught up on that as what some other people seem to.
He's got the height that's required to play. He's got the jumping ability. He's awesome at mirroring wide receivers. He can cover their breaks. He's a guy that I am really excited about joining this team. And I think that him and Xavier Rhodes together are something that I can't wait to see because it's going to let Harrison Smith and Robert Blanton run free. And it's going to be something beautiful. I feel some good stuff in the future happening there.
What's so special about this pick, I think, is that he gets put in a situation where he's lined up with Xavier Rhodes on the opposite side of the field, and he has a head coach in Mike Zimmer who is not only defensive minded, but he is also a specialist with the corner position. I mean, so Zimmer will work with Trey Waynes, and you will get the best out of him. This is a really, really good situation for this kid to come into.
Absolutely.
I hate to jump around in front of you, but with the second pick we had and adding Waynes and how this is going, I don't know about you guys, but this seems a little Seattle-esque, doesn't it? What we could be building upon.
No, I totally understand. I made that comparison, and it's too early to go there because that's a really good defense they have out there in Seattle. But I think if I can change what you said just for a minute, is that that's the idea, is to build a defense like what they have in Seattle. And you can see the pieces coming in play in Minnesota to get something like that eventually in order.
Do you know what I love even more about the Trey Waynes pick? I love that it moves Captain Munnerlyn back to the slot to where he is 100% more effective.
Mm-hmm.
It moves Josh Robinson back to being a reserve and a guy that can come in off the bench when needed to help out, and that helps him out. Having Trey Waynes come in and be ready to start that year one is going to be significant on this defense.
And that was something that Zim was talking about in one of his press conferences, where he said that schematically having Trey Waynes allows them to run more of the defense that he wants to run. And he, paraphrased, basically said the same thing that you just said, is that you're not relying on guys to play out of position by bringing him in. In theory, like you said, those guys fall back into their natural position and not force them into other places, and you can do schematically more of what you want to do on defense with him and Xavier Rhodes out there together. Very
do you remember
exciting.
when Leslie Frazier tried shoving Josh Robinson into the slot?
Do you remember why Leslie Frazier got fired?
I'm just using it as an example here. Why trying to make these players do things that
they're not supposed to do.
They aren't their strong suits.
Yep.
You're not playing to your players' strengths. And being able to get the most out of your players is what coaches are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that we got the defensive-minded Mike Zimmer, who's got all this experience. He's got Terrence Newman coming in to be the veteran voice in that locker room at cornerback to help these guys grow and develop. And he can even come in when needed as a very solid reserve. I'm excited about this secondary.
I gotta say this right now. This is the end for Marcus Sherrill's run as a Minnesota
It should
Viking.
be the writing on the wall.
I mean,
it should.
I don't want to jump forward too far here, but we took a wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, who has that skill set to be a punt return guy for the Vikings. And then you look at, with them drafting Trey Waynes early and bringing in the guy that you just name-checked, I can't think of it. What was his name? Terrence
Newman.
Terrence Newman. Yeah, you look at this and you go, this would be incredibly tough for Marcus Sherrills to make this roster.
He could still do it. He could really impress during camp. It could happen.
He's done it before, but man, oh man, Zimmer is not going to be the kind of guy to be like, well, you're a vested veteran. I mean, if... yes, that's a knock on Leslie Frazier. I mean, I don't know.
I couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah.
Now, with that second-round pick, Eric Kendricks out of UCLA,
I love
reuniting him at the linebacker position with
Anthony Barr. This pick. It's so cool. I love that.
There are some concerns about his injury history, but when he is healthy, He is a linebacker that can do it all. He's speedy. He's good in run support. He can cover receivers. He can do it all.
Here's where my fanness comes into play. People say injury concerns. I'm like, middle finger, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Steal of the draft. Right?
You have no idea. Okay, when I go to a draft party to watch the draft, I am surrounded by approximately, I'll say, about 15 Packer fans.
Oh my God.
It's me and my buddy John Beaver as the only Vikings fans there. Now, when Green Bay's pick rolled around, they were all yelling at the TV that they wanted Eric Kendricks.
Mm-hmm.
And when they picked that undersized corner / safety, it erupted in anger. Packer fans are not happy that Eric Kendricks is a member of the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, that makes me even more happy that he is a Minnesota Viking.
My heart just broke for them. Did you hear it?
No, I didn't.
Now, the third round. I'm torn on this one. I like Danielle Hunter. I think that Danielle Hunter is a player that has a lot of potential. He's a physical freak.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the speed. He's got the size. The problem is that he is raw, and he needs help developing his moves.
Well,
he's slow off the snap, and he really needs to develop more moves to get to the quarterback. But the nice thing is that he'll be coming into a system where there's already 2 established starters on the ends. And really, his potential is a lot higher than people are saying. Right now, sure, he's not a starter. He probably wouldn't be a starter in the league. But if he's got a couple years to learn under Brian Robinson and
Everson Griffin, yep.
He's actually a veteran at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think of Everson Griffin as that, because he's that same kind of guy that got picked. I believe it was in the 4th round. Was Everson Griffin?
Yeah, I don't remember.
And he worked his way up from being put in only at defensive tackle in pass rush situations
He's
to
stuck
subbing
behind
in at
Jared
the end.
Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a similar situation for Danielle Hunter, and I'm excited to see if he can work out. But I personally would have liked to seen a guard drafted there, or another position of need. But I think Danielle Hunter is a guy that could work out there, and is a good investment, might be able to work out. So
Everson was the 4th round, was a 4th round pick, 100th overall in the 2010 NFL Draft. And I was talking with my friend Nate Weck, you know Nate, Adam. And we were talking about Danielle Hunter and saying that he has the potential to bring a lot of the skill sets that Everson has.
He does.
And it's a good situation for him because, like you said, he doesn't have to start. He can sit and he can learn for a couple seasons. And there's a lot of hate on the pick because people are saying you don't draft a project player as high as the 3rd round like that. But
why not?
Why not, exactly? If you're the Minnesota Vikings and you're going defensive end is not really an area of need, you can take a risk with it. I think going early, if that makes sense. And also, Mike Zimmer is super excited about this guy's potential. And if Zimmer is excited about it, I should be excited about it too, because he knows a hell of a lot more about football than I ever will.
Well, Zimmer loves athletes.
Yeah.
And Danielle Hunter is an athlete. This guy, if you saw him in practices, or saw some of the things that he could do, especially at the combine too, he will blow you away with his athleticism. And that's one reason why his skills could translate over if he could work on a couple of those areas that I talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that he has some time to develop those, so that's a great thing. The round 4 pick. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For all the people that got upset about him being taken in the 3rd, it was all a ploy and a smokescreen so we could take TJ Clemens in the 4th.
Yeah.
I just think people are mad because his first name was Danielle.
Hey, yeah, if you're listening to this, then go back and rewind it. If you like to throw back a couple of beers, say it every time we say Danielle Hunter, because I know we've said it a bunch, so you're welcome. Have fun with that.
Yeah, the 4th round, TJ Clemens, first-round talent, dropped because of an injury concern to his foot. Clemens assures everyone that it's fine. It's no big deal.
According to Rick Spielman, they went back and forth with Eric Sugarman, the team's trainer, as to whether or not they should draft this guy. And Spielman was ultimately like, look, this is an older injury, and the dude played with it pretty much his entire career. It never stopped him. So we're going to take a shot on this guy.
Now, Clemmings didn't even know that his foot was injured until the medical review at the combine.
Never missed a game, never stopped him, whatever. So you take a chance on him. You bring him in, you do it. I like the pick.
Plus, at that position that we got, I think it was the right move considering the talent that he was projected to have and what the team's need. I thought it was perfect.
Absolutely true.
And there's a lot of teams, there's a philosophy that goes out there is that when you look at these guys and they maybe have a medical issue and you can get them in a round like that where you go, well, if we can only get like one rookie contract out of them and they're able to contribute within that rookie contract and then the medical kind of kicks them out of it, that's still value for that player and they still contributed to the team. So that could be what they're looking at as well, too. Not every pick is necessarily a long, we're going to have this guy for 10 years on the team sort of a deal.
But also, we've got Eric Kendricks in the second round, who has a history of injury problems. We got Danielle Hunter in the third round, who's a bit of a project. And we got TJ Clemmings, who has that foot issue that we have no idea what's going on with. That's 3 picks between rounds 2 and 4.
You're taking some risk with them.
Kind of risky.
Yep.
They're gambles. But each of them, I believe, was drafted in a spot where they had significant value. So I think that's what Minnesota was looking at that point. Round 5, Southern Illinois tight end Michael Pruitt.
I don't know a thing about him. I know Norv Turner is really excited and said that he feels he can move him around on the field in multiple positions. That to me seems like a weird spot for us to draft a tight end.
Well, think of Michael Pruitt as a Rhett Ellison with a little softer hands, but not as mean streak with his blocks.
Yeah, and see, I don't know.
He's a pretty well-rounded blocker and receiver. He is a guy that should make the roster when the roster's 3 tight ends.
I really don't know anything about him. I'd have to do more research. My initial gut reaction is that I don't like the pick. But...
And let's be honest, Kyle Rudolph hasn't been healthy at all since the Vikings drafted him. Although I like Chase Ford, there are times that you need to bring in some competition at that spot. And I could see a 5th-round pick to try to work that out as being a really good way to address that problem. 5th round is where you can start taking gambles based on that kind of just production to try to create competition and have camp battles and things like that. You're not going to be looking for a day 1 starter in the 5th round unless you're looking at positions like punter, kicker, long snapper, whatnot.
Or you're the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, Browns. They had an interesting draft, but we're talking about the Vikings.
Oh, boy. You guys
Where
hear
in
that
round 5. Oh, yeah, I did. Round 5, a lot of people's favorite pick, but was one that I didn't really get a lot. Maryland wide receiver Stefon Diggs.
People love drafting wide receivers regardless of rounds. Remember when Jamar Johnson was drafted? And
I do.
Jamar Johnson was going to be like the next, I don't even know what, and then I don't think he ever really... Poor guy got hurt with like a thumb injury or something, but... Moral of that story is anytime you draft a receiver, people are excited.
Well, the thing is that wide receivers are so much higher profile than some of the other players.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be quarterback or receiver, right?
When you're talking about guards, offensive tackles, defensive tackles, people are like, eh. But when you got wide receivers, their highlight tapes are great because they're catching passes, they're scoring touchdowns, they're celebrating. Offensive tackles don't celebrate. They knock a guy in their butt and they line up again.
And that's why I like offensive tackles. Right?
They're not going to do a little dance in the end zone.
Well, sometimes.
Unless they're the Patriots, I guess.
Yeah.
Patriots like to use their offensive tackles as receivers.
Nothing better than a big guy dancing on the football field, though. I digress.
Stefon Diggs should be a direct competition for Jarius Wright. I think that the Minnesota Vikings are concerned that Jarius Wright may be looking for a little more money than they're willing to give. And I think that Stefon Diggs is the guy that they're trying to bring in just in case.
I agree. He's got a similar skill set. People have compared him to Cordero Patterson on being a bit of a gadget guy that you can move around. I talked earlier about his ability on punt returns. That is where, hey, you're a receiver in the 5th round. You want to make this team, you go out there, you prove it on special teams.
Yeah.
I think that his end for this team is to, even though they're at different positions, would be to step up and take that punt return spot away from Marcus Sherrills, because you don't really need Marcus at corner anymore, and that's how Stephon Diggs could potentially make this roster. Or you slide him on the practice squad.
It's true. Sometimes those 5th rounders, though, are hard to sneak on there. They're a little too high profile sometimes. A 6th round offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Tyrus Thompson. I admit that I have not done research on Tyrus Thompson.
I can't say that I have either.
But I love the idea of bringing in depth on the offensive line, especially if it's a player that can play multiple positions. I don't know if Tyrus Thompson is that guy. I've also heard some rumblings that he isn't the greatest of character player. So I don't know how much to buy into that.
I haven't heard that. I thought I read overall that this was a pretty high character draft, but for the Vikings anyway, I mean. But I'm not sure. I can't speak to every player, because like I said, these late round guys that frankly I don't know much about.
At this point, they're bringing in guys to compete for possibly a spot on the roster or a spot on the practice squad to grow and develop. That's what the late round picks are. Guys like Louisville defensive end B.J. DeBoss, Alabama offensive tackle Austin Shepard, Newberry College linebacker Edmund Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rest of the picks that the Vikings made in the draft. And those are the guys that are going to go into camp and they're going to be fighting for their careers, trying to make a spot. And those are the guys to be watching during preseason because they're fighting for their careers. Not Teddy Bridgewater, not, I don't know, whoever else that's guaranteed a roster spot. It's
Mike Wallace. I don't think Mike Wallace is fighting for a roster spot.
No, not with what they paid to get him.
Yeah. Although you never know, Zimmer does have the attitude that every player is fighting for, like, their ability to start.
Oh, sure. You definitely want to say that.
But common sense should dictate that Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback of the team. And you instill that mentality that you still go out there and you still have to compete and fight for it.
It's true. The undrafted free agents were also signed by the Vikings. Cornerback Justin Coleman from Tennessee, wide receiver Devarius Daniels from Notre Dame, center Ton Farvanik from Iowa State.
Automatically don't like him.
Safety Anthony Harris from Virginia, quarterback Taylor Hankey from Old Dominion, wide receiver Jordan Leslie from BYU, and guard Bobby Vidaro from Boston College.
Boston College pick. I like that. I like the Boston College pick.
And I know absolutely nothing about those individuals. Hopefully I'll learn a little bit more come training camp and preseason. Hope to see a little bit more and learn a little bit more. Maybe I'll pull up a couple highlight videos on them. I haven't done that yet. Maybe I'll do that for next show, and if there's something that sticks out at me, I'll let you guys know. But I want to talk about the social media question, because this is one of my favorites. I asked you guys, who was your favorite draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings this year and why? I was surprised because the favorite draft pick, according to the fans, was Kendricks.
Uh-huh.
They are big fans of Eric Kendricks, bringing him in at linebacker. Minnesota has had this history the last couple years of just having that middle linebacker that was a thumper, a run stopper. Then they'd have to pull him out and go into nickel coverage, or leave him in if it's short yardage, of course. But now they've got this linebacker that they can actually keep in there for 3 downs, which is really interesting because it opens up a lot of other things. And we have a lot of players here, or a lot of people saying that it's got to be Kendricks. He seems like the best plug-and-play option from day one. I can't wait for him and Barr to grow together. Hopefully they can become like Willis and Bowman in a few years. Hodges would be my pick for the third linebacker. He's likely competing with Chad Greenway for the other outside spot. I can't wait to see Zimmer play with his new toys. Should be a nasty defense for years to come. That was Parker Nakin. Meanwhile, there were a couple that say, of course, the easy answer is Trey Waynes. Our secondary should be pretty stout against the familiar NFC Norris defense. I think he means North, but that's okay. They're monster receivers now. But Eric Kendricks falling to the Vikings has me completely psyched. It's awesome to hear so many Vikings fans excited about these early picks because it wasn't that long ago that the Vikings were notoriously missing on their first round draft picks, and that these later round draft picks just were completely missing the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Calder Hill says, I wasn't a big fan of the Waynes pick. He's talented, but some have questioned his fit in Zimmer's scheme. With that being said, the Clemmings pick was a steal, but our best pick was Kendricks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had some love for Kendricks on Twitter, too. Sean Smith sent out, Kendricks, he takes our biggest question and is turning it into a fast-developing strength. Love the nickel defense.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Sutherland says Serena Williams and Barney the Dinosaur. I don't think the Vikings got them. I think they went before the Vikings selected.
That is my friend from high school. He's an Atlanta Falcons fan, and he loves to troll our page. And you are a goofball, Hunter. I will speak with you. He's never going to listen to this, but...
But Barney the Dinosaur, he's already purple, so he's moving in the right direction.
You know what? Maybe he'll replace Victor one day. Who knows? He's already purple, like you said.
That's true. Step in the right direction. Michael Kelly says Trey Waynes, of course. Great cornerback, big hitter, and former MSU football player of my favorite college football team. And then you got people that are kind of hesitant there, like Kevin Schmidt, who says, ask me in 8 months.
Which is probably the correct answer.
I mean, there's no problem in getting excited about draft picks.
I like knee-jerk reactions, though, because sometimes those tend to be the correct ones.
I'm going to go off on a mini rant right here for just a second. Draft grades. Now, grading a class that was just drafted, it's fun. Sure, it's fun to say, okay, this player was drafted at this value, so I give it this grade. He plugs into the system and does all this. But does he? You have no clue.
Yeah.
You're projecting. You're guessing. Basically, what those grades are, it's for people that are casual fans. There's nothing wrong with being a casual fan.
We're casual fans.
To try to see if, hey, should I be excited about this draft class? And sure, if you look and say, okay, the Vikings got a B+ for this grade from B+ grade for this draft from Mel Kiper. B+ is pretty good. I think that this might work out all right, you know, and that's fine. But to really learn about these guys, you do have to do the research yourself. When you're going on what other people are telling you and grades that other people are throwing out there, when you don't have the basis of their knowledge on these players, I mean, do you think that these people that are grading all these players, how much do they really know about Michael Pruitt?
Yeah.
How much did they watch B.J. DeBose?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm going to jump right in on you guys. I know we talked about it earlier in the show, but I'm looking at my phone. It is 1:15 Monday morning on the 4th, and my Team Stream app says the Vikings will reportedly exercise their fifth-year options on both Matt Khalil and Harrison Smith. So there you go. The question was answered during the show. I thought that's pretty awesome.
That's
I
breaking
don't
news.
believe that is correct, though.
I'm getting it from Team Stream, so bear with me, guys, if it's inaccurate. But the Team
Stream...
Because
I saw an article that was headed that way, and I clicked on it because I didn't know whether it was saying that. But once I clicked on it, it said that they would let us know on Monday. You know, exactly what I said at the beginning of the show. So I don't want to jump to the conclusion that it's a foregone done deal. And sure, it's likely that could happen, but as of right now, I'm very skeptical about that report.
I'll dig further into that. I just wanted to tell you guys what my phone just lit up and told me.
And that's the problem with how you can word articles just to be very misleading.
Mm-hmm.
They got to click out of me to check it out, though, so I guess joke's on me, right? That's all I have for this week. Do we have a bold statement from Mr. Kyle Smith?
We do. It's going to be very easy. We were just talking about draft grades. I love it because you took the words right out of my mouth. You can't really give them a grade. It was terrible. These players haven't played it down in the NFL yet, and that's my biggest thing. I want to rant on it, but you already hit on it. I'm going to give the Vikings my love for this draft, though. I'm looking at it right now. Your 11th overall pick, you addressed the corner position. It would have been sexy to go get a wide receiver. We have a defensive coach. He went out. Now we've got some solid competition and defense for these gigantic receivers. And I love it. We picked up 2 linebackers. We picked up 3 offensive tackles, 2 defensive ends. I don't know. My biggest question marks are on the offensive guys. The tight end and wide receiver didn't do any research on them. Maybe they pan out, like you said. Maybe they push other guys to step up and earn their keep this year on the team. But just going down the list of the stuff that we hit and addressed this year, you can tell what's important to the team. And I know that's a generic statement. Well, we picked up an offense and a defensive package of guys. But the order in which they did it, and I'm seeing, 3 offensive tackles. They really want to take care of Teddy Bridgewater. The fact that they picked up some linebackers, and one early and one late. These are key things you needed to hit on. And the Trey Waynes pick, I love it because, like I said earlier, wide receiver could have been a sexy pick, but that's why we went and picked up Mike Wallace. We feel like, and the management feels like he's going to do great there. I love the draft that we had. I think we knocked it out of the park. That being said, I'm not going to give it a grade because, like Adam said, I think it's dumb to say we got an A+ on a test that, quite frankly, we haven't taken yet.
Right.
Which is, saying that these guys are going to be all-stars. We have no clue. But as far as addressing needs, I love what we did this year. I don't think there was one that really left your head scratching too hard.
Now, keep in mind, when you kept saying offensive tackle, some of those offensive tackles do project inside to guard.
Yep.
And the only real question mark at this point in the draft on the Vikings team, in my opinion, is that starting guard position, which right now I'd have penciled in with Joe Berger's name on it. But keep in mind, pencil can be erased. Anyone can win that job. If TJ Clemmings can prove he's healthy, maybe he wants to slide into guard. Maybe it's Austin Shepard from Alabama who wins the job. Maybe it's David Yankee.
Pick from last year. He had a lot of high praise and high hopes. Maybe he steps up in his sophomore season.
So that, to me, is the position to watch. The holes that were at cornerback, the slot receiver, since we had the slot receiver at the out position. Drafting Trey Waynes filled in all those holes in the secondary, essentially. And the linebacker position, we got the competition between Greenway and Hodges on the other side. But that guard spot, that's the one to watch. Who is going to be there to help out Matt Khalil, because it isn't Charlie Johnson anymore. And that's all I have for this week. Do you guys have anything else?
Check us out on Facebook. Give us your thoughts. We tried to tone it down this week. Thank you guys for the comments and the feedback last week with the messages. We'll try to be more user-friendly and kid-friendly here on the show. But thank you guys very much. I know draft week is very, very fun, and Mr. Carlson put up a great question. But keep that input coming like it's draft week every week. If we give you a social media question, hate it, love it, tell us it stinks, give us ideas of stuff that you would like to come out so we can give you a shout-out on the show.
Absolutely. We love the interactive aspect of this. As a matter of fact, we are hopefully planning to do a live show one of these days, which has me scared poopless.
I want to do a live preseason show. I think that'd be so much fun.
I think this is a terrible idea, but my co-hosts want to go forward.
Nah, it'd be so cool. We got to do it.
We got to try it at least once, and I think if we tried it once and it's a success, I think everybody that truly listens to the show will like it and want to do it again.
On that note, I'd like to congratulate all of us at the Purple People Podcast on 150 shows.
I know, it's nuts, isn't it?
And we're still rolling.
I haven't been around for all of them, but it's been one fun ride since I decided to jump on board.
Almost 3 years of the Purple People Podcast.
Huh.
Crazy. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Like Kyle Smith said, head on over to Facebook, check us out, go on Twitter, talk to Mr. Kyle West over there at @PurplePeoplePod, and stay classy, Minnesota.